This is The Perks of Being a Wallflower, beginning on page 127. March 28th, 1992. Dear friend, it's finally starting to get a little warm here, and the people are being nicer in the hallways. Not to me necessarily, just in a general way. I wrote a paper about Walden for Bill, but this time I did it differently. I didn't write a book report. I wrote a report pretending that I was by myself near a lake for 2 years. I pretended that I lived off the land and had insights. To tell you the truth, I kind of like the idea of doing that right now. Ever since that night with Mary Elizabeth, everything has been different. It started out that Monday in school where Sam and Patrick looked at me with big grins. Mary Elizabeth had told them about the night we spent together, which I really didn't want her to do, but Sam and Patrick thought it was great, and they were really happy for both of us. Sam kept saying, "I can't believe I didn't think of it before. You guys are great together." I think Mary Elizabeth thinks so too, because she's been acting completely different. She's nice all the time, but it doesn't feel right. I don't know how to describe it. It's like we'll be having a cigarette outside with Sam and Patrick at the end of the day, and we'll all be talking about something until it's time to go home. Then, when I get home, Mary Elizabeth will call me right away and ask me, "What's up?" And I don't know what to say because the only thing new in my life is my walk home, which isn't a lot. But I describe the walk anyway, and then she starts talking, and she doesn't stop for a long time. She's been doing this all week, that and picking lint off my clothes. At one point 2 days ago, she was talking about books, and she included a lot of books I had read, and when I told her that I had read them, she asked me very long questions that were really just her ideas with a question mark put at the end. The only thing I could say was either yes or no. There was honestly no room to say anything else. After that, she started talking about her plans for college, which I had heard before, so I put down the phone, went to the bathroom, and when I came back, she was still talking. I know that was the wrong thing to do, but I thought if I didn't take a break, I would do something even worse, like yell or hang up the phone. She also keeps talking about the Billie Holiday record she bought for me, and she says she wants to expose me to all these great things. And to tell you the truth, I don't really want to be exposed to all these great things if it means that I'll have to hear Mary Elizabeth talk about all the great things she exposed me to all the time. It almost feels like, of the three things involved, Mary Elizabeth, me, and the great things, only the first one matters to Mary Elizabeth. I don't understand that. I would give someone a record so they could love the record, not so they would always know that I gave it to them. Then there was the dinner. Since the holidays were over, my mom asked if I would like to have Sam and Patrick over for dinner like she promised after I told her they said she had great taste in clothing. I was so excited. I told Patrick and Sam, and we made plans for Sunday night, and about 2 hours later, Mary Elizabeth walked up to me in the hall and said, "What time Sunday?" I didn't know what to do. It was just for Sam and Patrick. That was the whole idea from the beginning, and I never even invited Mary Elizabeth. I guess I know why she assumed that she would be invited, but she never even waited to see, or even drop a hint, or anything. So at the dinner where I wanted my mom and dad to see how nice and great Sam and Patrick were, Mary Elizabeth talked the whole time. It wasn't all her fault. My dad and mom asked her more questions than they asked Sam or Patrick. I guess because I am going on dates with Mary Elizabeth, and that is more curious to them than my friends are. I guess that makes sense, but still, it's like they never got to meet Sam and Patrick, and that was the whole point. By the time dinner was over and they all left, all my mom said was that Mary Elizabeth was smart, and all my dad said was my girlfriend was pretty. They didn't say anything about Sam or Patrick, and all I wanted from the whole night was for them to know my friends. That was very important to me. Sex things are weird too. It's like after that first night, we have this pattern where we basically do what we did that first time, but there is no fire or Billie Holiday record because we are in a car and everything is rushed. Maybe this is the way things are supposed to be, but it doesn't feel right. My sister has been reading all these books about women ever since she told her ex-boyfriend that the pregnancy was a false alarm and he wanted to get back together, and she said no. So I asked her about Mary Elizabeth, leaving out the sex part, because I know she could be neutral about it, especially since she stayed clear of the dinner. My sister said Mary Elizabeth is suffering from low self-esteem, but I told her that she said the same thing about Sam back in November when she started dating Craig, and Sam is completely different. Everything can't be low self-esteem, can it? My sister tried to clarify things. She said that by introducing me to all these great things, Mary Elizabeth gained a superior position that she wouldn't need if she was confident about herself. She also said that people who try to control situations all the time are afraid that if they don't, nothing will work out the way they want. I don't know if this is right or not, but it made me sad regardless. Not for Mary Elizabeth, or for me, just in general, because I started to think that I don't know who Mary Elizabeth was at all. I'm not saying she was lying to me, but she just acted so different before I got to know her. And if she really isn't like what she was at the beginning, I wish she could have just said so. But maybe she is like she was at the beginning, and I just didn't realize it. I just don't want to be another thing Mary Elizabeth is in charge of. I asked my sister what I should do, and she said the best thing to do is be honest about my feelings. My psychiatrist said the same thing, and then I felt really sad because I thought maybe I was different from how Mary Elizabeth originally saw me too. And maybe I was lying by not telling her that it was hard to listen to her all the time without getting to say anything back. But I was just trying to be nice like Sam said I should. I don't know where I went wrong. I tried to call my brother about this, but his roommate said he was really busy with school, so I decided not to leave a message because I didn't want to distract him. The one thing I did was mail my report about Walden to him so he could share it with his girlfriend. Then, maybe if they had time, they could read it and we could talk about it, and I would have the chance to ask them both what to do about Mary Elizabeth since they were going out in a good way and would know how to make things work. Even if we didn't get to talk about it, I would still love to meet my brother's girlfriend, even on the phone. I did get to see her once on a VCR tape of one of my brother's football games, but it's really not the same thing, even though she was very beautiful, but not in an unconventional way. I don't know why I'm saying all of this. I just wish Mary Elizabeth would ask me questions other than, "What's up?" Love always, Charlie. April 18th, 1992. Dear friend, I have made a terrible mess of things. I really have. I feel terrible about it. Patrick said the best thing I could do is just stay away for a while. It all started last Monday. Mary Elizabeth came to school with a book of poems by a famous poet named E. E. Cummings. The story behind the book was that she saw a movie that talked about one poem that compares this woman's hands to flowers and rain. She thought it was so beautiful that she went out and bought the book. She has read it a lot of times since, and she said she wanted me to have my own copy. Not the copy she bought, but a new one. All day she told me to show everyone the book. I know I should have been grateful because it was a very nice thing to do, but I wasn't grateful. I wasn't grateful at all. Don't get me wrong, I acted like I was, but I wasn't. To tell you the truth, I was starting to get mad. Maybe if she would have given me the copy of the book that she bought for herself, it would have been different. Or maybe if she had just hand copied the rain poem she loves on a piece of nice paper. And definitely if she didn't make me show the book to everyone we know. Maybe I should have been honest then, but it didn't feel like the right time. When I left school that day, I didn't go home because I just couldn't talk to her on the phone, and my mother is not a very adroit liar about things like that. So instead, I walked to the area where all the shops and video stores are. I went straight to the bookstore, and when the lady behind the counter asked me if I needed any help, I opened up my bag and I returned the book Mary Elizabeth bought me. I didn't do anything with the money. It just sat in my pocket. When I walked home, all I could think was what a terrible thing it was that I just did, and I started crying. By the time I walked in the front door, I was crying so much that my sister stopped watching television to talk to me. When I told her what I did, she drove me back to the bookstore because I was too messy to drive, and I got the book back, which made me feel a little better. When Mary Elizabeth asked me where I had been all day on the phone that night, I told her that I went to the store with my sister, and when she asked if I bought her something nice, I said I did. I didn't even think she was serious, but I said it anyway. I just felt so bad about almost returning her book. I spent the next hour on the phone listening to her talk about the book. Then we said goodnight. Then I went downstairs to ask my sister if she could drive me to the store again so I could get Mary Elizabeth something nice. My sister told me to drive myself, and then I had better start being honest with Mary Elizabeth about how I feel. Maybe I should have then, but it just didn't feel like the right time. The next day in school, I gave Mary Elizabeth the gift that I drove to buy her. It was a new copy of To Kill a Mockingbird. The first thing Mary Elizabeth said was, "That's original." I just reminded myself that she didn't say it mean. She wasn't making fun of me. She wasn't comparing or criticizing, and she really wasn't, believe me. So I just explained to her how Bill gives me special books to read outside of class, and how To Kill a Mockingbird was the first one, and how it was special to me. Then she said, "Thank you, it's very sweet." But then she went on to explain how she had read it 3 years earlier and thought it was overrated, and how they turned it into a black and white film with famous actors like Gregory Peck and Robert Duvall that won an Academy Award for the screenplay writer. I just kind of put my feelings away somewhere after that. I left school, walked around, and didn't get home until 1 o'clock in the morning. When I explained to my father why, he told me to act like a man. The next day in school, when Mary Elizabeth asked where I had been the day before, I told her that I bought a pack of cigarettes, went to the big boy, and spent the entire day reading the E. E. Cummings book and eating club sandwiches. I knew I was safe saying that because she would never ask me any questions about the book. And I was right. After she got done talking about it that time, I didn't think I'd ever really need to read it myself, even if I wanted to. I definitely think I should have been honest then, but to tell you the truth, I was getting as mad as I used to get playing sports, and it was starting to scare me. Luckily, Easter vacation was starting on Friday, and it distracted things a little bit. Bill gave me Hamlet to read for the break. He said I would need the free time to really concentrate on the play. I guess I don't need to say who wrote it. The only advice Bill gave me was to think about the main character in terms of the other main characters in the books I've read thus far. He said not to get caught up thinking the play was too fancy. So, on Good Friday yesterday, we had a special showing of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. What made it special was the fact that everyone knew it was the beginning of Easter vacation, and a lot of kids were still wearing their suits and dresses from Mass. It reminded me of Ash Wednesday in school when the kids come home with thumbprints on their foreheads. It always adds an air of excitement. After the show, Craig invited all of us back to his apartment to drink wine and listen to the White Album. After the record was over, Patrick suggested we all play Truth or Dare, a game that he loves to play when he's buzzed. Guess who chose Dares over Truth all night? Me. I just didn't want to tell Mary Elizabeth the truth because of a game. It was working pretty well most of the night. The dares were things like chug a beer, but then Patrick gave me a dare. I don't even think he knew what he was doing, but he gave it to me anyway. Kiss the prettiest girl in the room on the lips. That's when I chose to be honest. In retrospect, I probably could not have picked a worse time. The silence started after I stood up, since Mary Elizabeth was sitting right next to me. By the time I had knelt down in front of Sam and kissed her, the silence was unbearable. It wasn't a romantic kiss. It was friendly, like when I played Rocky and she played Janet, but it didn't matter. I could say that it was the wine or the beer that I chugged. I could also say that I had forgotten the time Mary Elizabeth asked me if I thought she was pretty, but I would be lying. The truth is that when Patrick dared me, I knew that if I kissed Mary Elizabeth, I would be lying to everyone, including Sam, including Patrick, including Mary Elizabeth, and I just couldn't do it anymore, even if it was part of a game. After the silence, Patrick did his best to salvage the evening. The first thing he said was, "Well, isn't this awkward?" But it didn't work. Mary Elizabeth walked quickly out of the room and into the bathroom. Patrick told me later that she didn't want anyone to see her cry. Sam followed her, but before she completely left the room, she turned to me and said, serious and dark, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" It was the look on her face when she said it, and how much she meant it. It suddenly made everything seem like it really was. I felt terrible, just terrible. Patrick immediately stood up and took me out of Craig's apartment. We walked to the street, and the only thing I was aware of was the cold. I said that I should go back inside and apologize. Patrick said, "No, I'll get our coats. Just stay here." When Patrick left When Patrick left me outside, I started to cry. It was real and panicky, and I couldn't stop it. When Patrick came back, I said, really crying, "I really think I should go apologize." Patrick shook his head. "Believe me, you don't want to go in there." Then he jiggled the car keys in front of my face and said, "Come on, I'll take you home." In the car, I told Patrick everything that had been going on, about the record and the book, and To Kill a Mockingbird, and how Mary Elizabeth never asked any questions, and all Patrick said was, "It's too bad you're not gay." That made me stop crying a little bit. "Then again, if you were gay, I would never date you. You're a mess." That made me start laughing a little bit. And I thought Brad was fucked up. Jesus. That made me laugh a lot more. Then he turned on the radio and we drove through the tunnels back home. When he dropped me off, Patrick told me the best thing to do was keep away for a while. I guess I already told you that. He said that when he knew more, he'd give me a call. "Thanks, Patrick. Don't mention it." And then I said, "You know, Patrick, if I were gay, I'd want to date you." I don't know why I said it, but it seemed right. Patrick just smiled cocky and said, "Of course." Then he peeled out down the road. When I lay down in bed that night, I put on the Billie Holiday record and I started reading the book of E. E. Cummings' poems. After I read the poem that compares the woman's hands to flowers and rain, I put the book down and went to the window. I stared at my reflection and the trees behind it for a long time, not thinking anything, not feeling anything, not hearing the record, for hours. Something really is wrong with me, and I don't know what it is. Love always, Charlie.